Hey guys, my name is Divya. I am a doctor and I've held a management role with a healthcare company for a while. I've been doing a series of videos on my channel to help everybody in the community pass their certification exams. I myself am SHRM and PGMP certified, amongst other certifications. And I've done a series of videos on PMP and SHRM, and of course there's more to come on different certifications. But I've been doing a series recently on how to study for certification exams. So if you're doing the PHR, maybe you're doing a SQL certification from Microsoft, a management certification, epic trainings, or anything else that I can't think of. I really hope that these videos are helping you. If they are, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. It would really mean a lot to me. Okay guys, so let's move on and let's do part 2 of this series. I wanted to do a whole series on how to study for certification exams. When I started scripting, meaning writing the script for all these videos, I really thought it would be a 2-part series, but now that I'm doing it, I think there are going to be more number of videos. So today is part 2. I hope that you stay with me on this journey, and I do hope that it helps you. So let's get right into it. What are my next 5 tips to study for certification exams? I did a part 1 and I will leave the link to part 1 in the description box below. Okay, so my tip number 1 for the video today. You've already decided on the materials, you've probably applied for your application, you're sort of on the right track with the certification that you want to do, and you know which certification you want to do. So get started and familiarize yourself. Every certification will have certain sections, certain chapters, or certain clusters to it. I think it's good to know the clusters, the chapters, and maybe just glance through a page or so for every single chapter or section. It's going to give you a very basic idea of what you think it looks like. You can even just flip through the book if that makes sense. Some people say that the books are too thick and too voluminous to flip through, and if that's the case, I totally understand, but do know the sections and chapters, guys. It will really help you out. I think that familiarizing yourself for a certification exam is really, really important because usually there's nobody else to do it for you. My tip number 2, pre-reading is the way to go. So back when I was in my doctorate, guys, all the good students used to pre-read before going to lecture. That means that the professor has put up notes, or you know what chapter is going to be covered the following day, and you're supposed to read through it. Really read, not memorize, not actively recall things, but just read through it to understand the material. What this does is that, when you go to class the following day and the instructor is breezing through the material, you actually know most of it, you understand most of it, and the most important thing is that you know what questions to ask. You know what you don't understand, and you can ask those questions right away. So it gives you that edge which the other students may not have, and I think pre-reading is definitely the way to go. So even with the certification exams, you definitely want to pre-read, but then whether you're taking an instructor-led class or not is totally your decision. If you are, then you're in a similar environment. Pre-read, go to class, the instructor is there to answer your questions, and you're pretty much all set. I think you're very, very good. But now if you're not taking an instructor-led class, I think pre-reading is still extremely important, but in step number 2, you're supposed to study and you're supposed to explain it to yourself. So you have to be your own teacher and your own instructor. So a lot of videos online which are about studying, they talk about the Feynman technique and they talk about explaining anything to a 5-year-old. I don't think I've been patient enough in my life to explain things to a 5-year-old while I'm studying or pretend that the 5-year-old was around me. But I always try to explain it to myself and ensure that if it were a peer, I'd be able to explain it to them. So that's the goal that I go by when I'm doing things the second time while studying and there's no instructor-led class. Just be able to explain it to myself or someone who's probably in that particular field. If they're not in that field and I'm still able to explain it to them, kudos, right? That sounds really, really good. Okay guys, so step number 1 was familiarizing yourself with the material. Step number 2 was pre-reading and using the Feynman technique. Now step number 3 is actually reviewing the material. So what you have to do is really study and review, because you're doing something for the third time, and you do sort of need to do things for the third time for it to stick in your brain. So do that and ensure that you're reviewing the material in a proper manner and that you're able to actively recall the material. That you're not able to look at you don't have to look at your notes to review something. So let's say you take a topic, any topic, maybe it's Feynman technique, and if once you know the term, that you're able to define it yourself without looking at your notes. That's what active recall is all about. While actively recalling the material, I do prefer to write down, what I'm actively recalling. This is not a way for me to make notes, but this is just to ensure that I have all the points jotted down. So then I can compare my written notes to the actual textbook or the pre-printed notes to ensure that I didn't miss an important point in a particular passage or in a particular topic. Moving on, guys. Tip number 4, you have to solve questions pertaining to that particular topic. If you haven't attempted questions for a particular topic, you're not ready. I don't care how many times you've reviewed the material, you're just not ready. So I made this mistake for a pretty long time in my life, where I thought studying was really actively recalling things and maybe even verbatim, word for word, but God, I was wrong. Solving questions is really the most important thing, because that tests both your knowledge, your understanding, and your application. So if we can't apply that to a question, then all the studying is sort of pointless. So please don't make the mistake I made. Ensure that you start solving questions as early as you can. Some people do it in their second attempt when they're actually studying and using the Feynman technique. I prefer to do it with the third. I'm just a bit slower, I think. But either way, start solving questions. It will really, really help you. And my tip number 5, move on. Once you've done a topic 3 times, it's time to move on to the next topic. A couple of weeks down the line, you're always going to feel like you needed to do it again, or that you've forgotten everything, but it's only natural behavior. Your brain feels that you've forgotten something, but the fact that you reviewed it enough number of times just means that it's going to be good. And moving on, you're going to be doing lots of practice exams, so you will be testing yourself on a variety of different materials and sections pertaining to the same exam. So as I said, guys, these were my 5 tips for the video today. Please ensure that we're studying well for our certification exams, because they're really, really important. And in this series of certification exams and how to study, tips and tricks, there'll be more videos to come. Once again, I do hope that the videos are helping you. Thank you so much for watching.